Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to see you here today. All of you people who braved the winter weather that we have to be showing up today. And those of you who are online, I welcome you from your living rooms with your coffee. We do appreciate that you're here. It was a small joke that sort of bombed, so I'm sorry about that. Oh, we are Centers for Spiritual Living Minneapolis. My name is Joan James. I'm a licensed practitioner and a ministerial candidate, and I am glad to welcome everyone here today. Today, when I was in college, was one of my favorite days of all time. I had a group of about 15 friends, and I went to, this is 40 plus years ago, all right? We had this long walk that led up to the chapel at our college, and we would drag out our hard chairs from our dorm rooms because bag chairs weren't invented back then. There were no cell phones back then, and there was about 15 of us, and we'd sit in the middle of this long walk to the chapel. And sure enough, never failed. There was usually 15 to 20 people who didn't know that it was daylight savings time. And we would let them walk by us, we'd have our coffee, be chatting, and as they got closer to the door, we would get quiet. And they'd walk in, and we wouldn't see the reaction to an empty church, and they'd come out, and we'd stand up, and we would applaud them and be so happy. We like to poke the bear, needless to say, I'm a bear poker. And so that was always fun. So I'm glad you're all here an hour early today, gaining an extra hour today with our spring daylight savings time. Losing an hour? I always get it backwards. You can ask Colleen. I always get it backwards. We're losing an hour. So I'm glad that you were all here. We, Centers for Spiritual Minneapolis, we have a statement of truth. And our statement of truth is, there's a power for good in the universe, and you can consciously use it. Our mission is to teach, demonstrate, and empower a positive spiritual approach to living. Now, it's so funny, it goes from there to here. Now is a good time to check your cell phones. I turned my cell phone off to make sure they're turned off and silenced for the service. And we will have our first song by Victoria and James.
You've got to accentuate the positive. Eliminate the negative. You've got to latch on to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In-Between. You've got to spread joy up to the maximum and bring gloom down to the minimum. Have faith or pandemonium will be liable to walk upon the scene. To illustrate my last remark, Jonah in the whale, Noah in the ark. What did they do when everything looks so dark? He said you gotta accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. Latch on to the affirmative, but don't mess with Mr. In-Between. Ba-da-da-day. Ba-ba-wee-da-ba-ba-ba-day. Da-da-dee-da-ba-da-ba. Ba-ba-da-day. Da-da-da-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. To illustrate my last remark, Jonah and the whale, Noah and the ark. What did they do when everything looked so dark? I said you gotta accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. Latch on to the affirmative, but don't mess with Mr. In-Between. No, don't mess with Mr. In-Between. Don't mess with Mr. In Between.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Wonderful. All right. We at our center have a group reading we all participate in, and there it is. So let's read this together. I am ready to deepen my conviction in the power and presence for good. I am ready to apply it in my daily life. I am ready to receive God's highest blessings. I am ready to live from a higher level of beingness. I am ready to be a transformative light in the world. My most favorite line is the last one. I am ready to be a transformative light in the world. That just goes to my soul and inspires me to step out from here and be that person in the world. So we're going to have a little centering prayer. If you can just put your feet on the floor or settle into your chair and know that there is one power in the universe, and it is a power for good. It is a power that lives and breathes, moves and swims and grows and sits. It encompasses everything and everyone connected together as one spirit, one voice, one movement in this world. And our connection with that power is our birthright. Our connection to that power is what we are meant to be and live and grow in this world. That connection. We are one. And I know today is a day that we celebrate connection. We celebrate connection with each other. We celebrate connection with our communities. We celebrate connection with this world. Today is a day that everyone who is here in this community, everyone who is watching online, everyone who is choosing to participate in this celebration is connected, is special, is perfect, and is exactly where they're supposed to be. I celebrate today. I celebrate this divine presence. I celebrate the gifts that we each bring to this table. And I know in this grand scheme of the world, we are exactly where we are supposed to be. And so it is. If I could have Jenny come up, my candle lighter. And I did ask her ahead of time this time. Usually I forget, and Jenny is the one I ask. So this was a pre-ask this time. This center is based on the knowledge that there is one great universal presence, and we acknowledge that there are multiple names and paths to this one which unifies us, not divides us. Please join me as we honor the unifying nature of spiritual thought and experiences as we light the flames of faith, acknowledging all people and all faiths. We light the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. And I invite you now to take a moment and light the candle within for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of wholeness, oneness, and mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. Thank you, Jenny. And now we will have our inspirational reading, and Colleen will be doing that today.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see you all. Today's reading is from the essays of George Bendel. He was a contemporary of Dr. Ernest Holmes, and today we are reading from a chapter called Your Secret Place. The secret place is a place all of us have been to from time to time, and it's very comforting. It's a very comforting thing that when we say from the secret place, I know there is something that heals and blesses and restores and renews. And in this secret place, I know there is an infinite something that loves me and gives of its love without withholding. Yes, there is a comfort to it, a safe harbor. And it's the place where everything that happens originates. Jesus said, "My peace I give unto you." We feel safe because in truth, there can be no other thing but safety. Ernest Holmes used to say to me time after time, "George, nobody ever got lost, because if God is all there is, where would I go to get lost?" And so we seek that secret place. But wherever God is, there it is, and so it's everywhere. God is in and through all of us. And if it works in one way for one person, it works in all ways for all persons. That secret, quiet place, I've thought long about it. I recall that the Navy aircraft carriers have had for the past 50 years quiet rooms where briefings can take place. They're padded, they're quiet, and you can sit in the quiet when they are not being used and feel the quiet giving you strength, the understanding, and the realization that there's something greater than you are, something that shuts out even the sounds of war. There's a quiet room. For the Navy to have developed it and put it on their carriers of destruction and peacekeeping, the idea had to come from somewhere. Not just the mind of man, but from the mind of God. Somebody wanted to duplicate that quiet room that we have within us, where the turmoil and the confusion is all dissolved into what we desire to be.
Health, wholeness, and happiness. Health, wholeness, and happiness. Praise the good and raise the world with health, wholeness, and happiness. Wealth, wonder, and willingness. Wealth, wonder, and willingness. Praise the good and raise the world with wealth, wonder, and willingness. Love, laughter, and letting go. Love, laughter, and letting go. Praise the good and raise the world with love, laughter, and letting go.
And with that, I am so pleased to welcome, she just remembered, Reverend Joanne to speaking here today for us.
Thank you. Good to see you this morning. Well, this month we're talking about getting in touch with that sacred connection. I like to call it the perfect power within, that sacredness which is within all of us. And that's what we're here to do, connecting with ourselves, that higher self, and connecting with that perfect power. So the idea is that when we connect with our higher power, we're living in a sea of possibility. When we connect into that, we don't have to worry about what the heck am I going to do? What's the answer to this? We're living in a sea of possibility. We can do anything with that power behind us. We're talking about acceptance of ourselves. We're talking about acceptance of others, not perfection. If we're always shooting for perfection, guess what? We're never going to get there. So we're simply looking to look inside, and I think Debbie talked about that last week, looking and accepting ourselves, warts and all. Not judging ourselves, but just loving ourselves. Ernest Holmes says, at the spiritual level, we are perfect, but our individual use of life and law enables us to cover up a perfect idea with an apparently imperfect cloak. We tend to bring that judgment, and what we're looking for is acceptance here. So there's an old Sufi tale about a guy named Nasruddin. And he was having coffee with one of his buddies, and they were talking about love and life. And his friend said to him, Nasruddin, why didn't you ever get married? And he said, well, to tell you the truth, I spent my youth looking for the perfect woman. In Cairo, I met this beautiful, intelligent woman. She had dark eyes like olives, but she was unkind. Then in Baghdad, I met a woman who was wonderful, a generous soul, but we had nothing in common. And then one woman after another, I'd meet them, they have all these good qualities, but there was always something that just didn't work for me. She wasn't the perfect person. Then one day I met her. Oh my gosh, she was beautiful, intelligent, generous, kind, we had lots of stuff in common. In fact, she was perfect. Well, Nasruddin's friend said, well, why didn't you marry her? Well, he took a long, reflective sip of his tea, and he said, it's a sad thing. Seems she was looking for the perfect man. So we have to remember that on this soul's journey and this human experience that we're having, we have to remember that who we are. We are a vehicle for spirit to experience life. And so I always like to think, why not give life a good ride? Why not give God a good ride if we're a vehicle? Last week, I think it was Colleen Wilkinson who did the reading. She was reading from a poem called The Invitation by Oriah Mountain Dreamer. And I'm going to take 3 statements from that poem, and we're going to decipher them a little bit. And the idea is that I'd like you to be able to answer yes at the end of these sentences. And if you can do this, it indicates that we remember who we are, that we are this vehicle for spirit. The first line is this: I want to know if you can disappoint another and be true to yourself, if you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul. I just have to interject here that I think women do this. I mean, I don't know about men. I'm sure they do it too. I know women do it because they tell. They talk, they tell. And I think that, and I know I have done it. I didn't touch the remote control for 40 years. That kind of stuff. I just relinquished it. And that goes with so many other things. In my marriage, it was kind of a given. You let somebody have their way, and that keeps the peace. So that's one of the things that I'd like to talk about a little bit. And then the next thing is, I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand on the edge of the lake and shout to the moon, yes. Wow, failure, and then say yes. And the way we can do this is by remembering we live in a sea of possibility. It's because something didn't work out. That does not mean we have to feel sad. We can stand at the edge of the lake, say yes, knowing our good is still there for us. And the last one that we'll look at is, I want to know if you can see beauty, even when it's not pretty, every day, and if you can source your own life from its presence. To me, that means if you can remember who you are. We are part of that higher power. So let's just look at each of these things. The first one, can you disappoint another to be true to yourself? Can you bear the accusations of betrayal and not betray your own soul? I think this is difficult for a lot of us to do. That's why our plates get so full. We don't want to say no to somebody, even when it would be more appropriate to say no. So Jesus had a couple parables that kind of fit in with this lesson. The first one is about this elderly man, and he's going with this young boy with a donkey, and they're traveling across the country. And so he's leading the donkey, the little boy is walking behind, and they go into this town, and the townspeople say, well, what a fool you are. Why are you leading that donkey? Why aren't you riding on that donkey? Well, in an effort to please them, he gets up on a donkey. Off they go to the next town. They get into the next town, and the townspeople are saying to the little boy, what a selfish little boy you are. Making that old, they say to the old man, what a selfish person you are, making that little boy walk, and you're riding this donkey. Jumps off the donkey, puts the little boy up there. I mean, they go to the next town, and just whatever they do, they're being criticized, and they're trying to do the right thing. And finally, they decided the only thing is to get off that donkey and carry it. So they're carrying the donkey now, and they get to this bridge, and they're going. Somebody wants to get in. They're going across this bridge. They slip. The donkey falls off and falls in the river and drowns. So the moral to this story is that oftentimes when we are trying to please others, you eventually lose your donkey. So have you ever found a time in your life like that? A time when you had made a decision to do something, feel pretty good about it, and one of your friends or relatives or boss or somebody says to you, that's not going to work. Don't do that. That's stupid. And so you don't do it, and you find out later that's exactly what you should have done. I mean, could be buying a stock or not buying a stock, or it could be the person you marry. Some people say, you don't want to marry her, you want to marry her. Let somebody else choose that for you. I mean, this has happened. And I think we're all kind of, if you think about it, there's probably times in your life where you can remember being swayed by somebody and having it come to naught. So I'd like you to just think about that for a minute and just take a deep breath and just let it go. It's the past. Let it go. Nothing you can do about it. Bless it. Let it go. So the second parable that Jesus talked about was the parable of this guy who was a lighthouse keeper. And at the beginning of every month, he was supplied with the oil to light this lamp to keep the ships away from the rocky coast. Well, there was a village nearby. And so he would get visits from these people from the village. And this one woman walks in and she said, you've got some oil and my kids are cold. It's cold in our home, and I would like some of your oil. Next guy stops in, he said, I've got a squeaky wheel here that really, it's kind of rusty and it needs some oil, and I'd like some of your oil. And another guy walks in and he said, I need some oil for my lamp. Our house is dark and we need to have our lamps lit. So all these requests seemed reasonable to him. So to every one of these people, he gave oil. Well, at the end of the month, he didn't have any oil left to light this lighthouse light. And there was a big storm. And of course, there was no lighthouse warning, so these ships ran into the rocks and several people drowned. And the authorities came by and said, why didn't you have the light on? And he said, well, you know, this guy comes by and he needs to light the lamps in his house, and you got this other guy needs it for his wheel, and this woman needs it to warm her children. It all seemed legitimate, so I gave it a ban. They said, you know, you're given oil for one reason, one purpose, to keep that light burning. So the guy loses his job. The old light, he walked away, he was shattered at the mistake he had made, never to light that light for the ship again. And, you know, it may seem that he did the right thing. Yeah, the ladies' kids were cold, the guy's wheel the house needed lighting. And yet, when we look at this in a different way, we have to do what we're here for. We have to be centered in self. It's not self-centered to say no sometimes. Sometimes we have to say no. It's like on the airplane where you know, it says if that oxygen thing comes down, the adult puts it on themselves first and then the children. Otherwise, nothing's going to work. It's not going to be a good thing. We have to take care of ourselves. So the second statement is, can you live with failure and still stand on the edge of the lake and shout to the full moon, yes? I mean, can we grow from our experience? Can we realize we live in a sea of possibilities? And there's lots of biblical examples of this. You know, these people that are in the Bible, there's a lot of imperfection. The story of Jacob, he was promised that he could marry Rachel, and behind the veil was her sister Leah. Well, he didn't think Leah was that great of a catch, but he had to be married for Leah for 7 years before he could marry Rachel. Leah was unattractive. Was that a failure of hers? Did she give up life and jump off the mountain? No, she went on with life. Ended up being sister-in-laws with her sister. So, and then Moses had that speech impediment we hear about, and he told God, don't ask me to do these things. I get this problem with my speech. Ask somebody that's a better speaker to do all these great things you want done. And God said, no, you can do it. Even though he wasn't that great at speaking, he went on. He did what he was called to do. David, he took a look at Bathsheba and he thought, well, she's fine, but she's married to, what was his name? We all know this. Anyway, he sent him off to the front line to be killed, and so he could marry Bathsheba. So, you know, David failed at being a real honorable person at that moment. Peter denied Jesus 3 times in the Garden of Gethsemane. The disciples, Jesus told the disciples, okay, this is a real tough night for me. I want you to stay here and pray. Pray. Well, what'd they do? They went to sleep. So, you know, there's lots of failures, and that's not to mention some of the failures we know about, like Walt Disney, who was told by a newspaper editor, I think he got fired, and the guy said, well, you just have no imagination. You have no good ideas. I mean, you know, did he quit? No, he just kept going. Edison, his teachers told him he was too stupid to learn anything. Yeah, what did he come up with? 2,000 different patents or something like that. Lincoln, he had a lot of business ventures that failed. He would run for office, he would lose, and yet, of course, became president of the United States. So just because we sometimes fail, we can still maybe stand at the lake and call out to the moon, yes. Dr. Seuss, his first book was rejected 27 times. Stephen King's first book, Carrie, was rejected 30 times by publishers. They must feel pretty stupid. But he didn't quit. I mean, can you imagine? I cannot imagine being rejected like that and just keep on, have that much confidence. So all of these people, some of them thousands of years ago, we remember them, and yet they had some major failures along the way. And the third sentence that I want to consider is, can you see your own beauty, even when it's not pretty, every day, and if you can source your own life from its presence? In other words, to me, this means sometimes everything looks dismal, but can we remember who we are, that we're vehicles for Spirit to have an experience in this life? And how easy that is to look in the mirror and look at our lives and not see the beauty. Just see oh gosh, I failed. I got this going, that going. The kids aren't doing this and that, and my health isn't doing this and that, and my career didn't do exactly what I mean, we can really be hard on ourselves sometimes. Ernest Holmes said, so let us remember that back of the one that we see in the mirror is the divine image. We're the God stuff. When we look at ourselves, we're the God stuff. There's an author named Elizabeth Gilbert. She wrote the book Eat, Love, Pray. Many of us read the book, saw the movie, Julia Roberts. She wrote another book called Big Magic, and she says to talk to yourself in a very direct and real way when you're not able to see your own beauty. And I'll just read what she wrote. Over time, I found the right tone of voice to use with myself. It's best to be insistent, but affable. Repeat yourself, but don't get shrill. Speak to your darkest and most negative interior voices the way a hostage negotiator speaks to a violent psychopath. Calmly but firmly. Most of all, never back down. You cannot afford to back down. The life you're negotiating to save, after all, is your own. Who the hell do you think you are? The darkest interior voice will demand. It's funny you should ask, you can reply. I'll tell you who I am. I'm a child of God, just like anyone else. I'm a constituent of the universe. The fact that I'm here at all is evidence that I have the right to be here. I have a right to use my own voice, a right to my own vision. I have a right to collaborate with creativity because I myself am a product and a consequence of creation. I'm on a mission of artistic liberation, so let the girl go. You know, sometimes we forget to speak to ourselves in a loving way. We forget to say those things that are so helpful. I'm a child of God. I'm deserving. I can do this, even though some things went amiss, even though. What would your life be like if you spoke to yourself in that way when you're not seeing your own beauty? This is a good lesson to remember. When you're beating yourself up, listen to your self-talk, what you say to yourself sometimes. I mean, I live alone, I talk to myself a lot. And usually it's the mundane. It's like, time to cook this, time to make this, time to eat. I just rattle on. But sometimes, when we've done something, okay, who talks to themselves in your Sometimes when we're talking to ourselves, we're being pretty nasty to ourselves. You know, I've heard myself say, "You idiot." You know, you do something, "You idiot, how could you do that?" You know, and I think what we learn to do in this philosophy is catch ourselves and say, "I didn't really mean that. Didn't really mean that. I did something, I misstep, I misspoke, and yet I know that even though I've done some things that I would take back if I could, it's a new day, new time, new minute, right now. And from here on forward, I intend to do good." So today we've been called to make that sacred connection, to get in touch with that power within, and not just accepting, but really loving that person we are, so that we're able to be true to ourselves, even when it means disappointing somebody else, so that we can live with failure, still stand on the edge of the lake and say, "Yes," knowing there's a sea of possibility out there, and to see the beauty even when it's not pretty, and remember that the universe is forming. So when we make this connection with the sacred, with that power within, life becomes an exciting adventure. So I would like you to take a deep breath at this time, and I would like to offer a spiritual mind treatment, which is an affirmative prayer. Just kind of reviewing these points that we talked about today. And I know there is but one power in the universe, and that power is a supportive power. It is peace and joy and love and balance and all good. It has the perfect solution to any perceived dilemma in life. And I know I'm one with it. It experiences life in, through, and as its creation, in, through, and as me, and that's why I speak these words with authority. And even though at times I've forgotten who I am and I've become a people pleaser, or I've let the perceived failure in my life send me running to hide between the sheets, even though I've failed to see the beauty that surrounds me and the beauty I am, even though all that, I now declare, I set an intention to be true to myself, even if it means saying no. I handle failure with ease and know that the universe is for me. I live in a sea of possibilities. I remember that I am one with the one, and I see beauty in myself. I see beauty surrounding me. I'm grateful that these words are true, that these words spoken into law are like a seeds planted in the soil. As Jesus said, "It is done unto you as you believe." So I release these words now and say, "And so it is."
One, two, three, four. There's a new territory that I never saw before, like a fire of transformation breaking through my core, shining in the darkness. I can see the light of day, and this new territory is my strength, so is my way. Yes, this new territory is my strength, so let us pray. Well, I pray that you will see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. Well, I pray that you will see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. I pray that you will see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. There's a new territory that I never saw before. Like a fire of transformation breaking through my core. Shining in the darkness, I can see the light of day. And this new territory is my strength, is my way. Yes, this new territory is my strength, so let us pray. This new territory is my strength, so let us pray. Well, I pray that you will see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything. Well, I pray that you will see the best of life, the best of love, the very best of everything.
Thank you, Joanne. That was wonderful. And thank you for the song. It was amazing. This is our time of our service for conscious giving, and I'd like to take that apart a little bit. Conscious giving, sort of a unique way to think of moving things through the world, whether you're giving of your time, or you're giving of your energy, or you're giving of your finances, or you're giving of whatever it is you choose to move through the world. You make a conscious choice to give. And I choose to give the things that spiritually feed me. And this center spiritually feeds me. It feeds my soul. It feeds my community. It feeds how I move through the world. And I just think it's an amazing thing to make those kinds of choices and to have those kinds of choices about how we want to give in this world. So there's numerous ways that you can give to Centers for Spiritual Living Minneapolis. We have envelopes in your programs that you can give today. You can give via text, and you can also go to cslminneapolis.org, and you can set up a regular payment that happens if it's easier for you. I do that with all of my bills. I set up my regular payment, and I don't ever have to think of them again. So for some people, that works out wonderfully. So we'll take this moment now to move and conscious give in our world.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed.
Thank you, everyone. We have a conscious gift that we at our center would like to give to you, and that is the chance to do spiritual mind treatment with our practitioners here at our center. And that is when you are in a place where you need to vision something in your life and you can't quite get there, we have people here who are ready and willing to hold that vision for you. You can today fill out a prayer request over here. You can ask to speak to any of the practitioners after the center. You can submit a prayer request online, and that prayer request goes out to all of the practitioners in our center, and every practitioner holds that vision, that thought for you for as long as you need that to be. We had a prayer request go out this week that we all took into prayer and was included in the weekly update. And so it was really beautiful to see that and to know that vision for that person. So please, this is something here for you to use. The practitioners here today are, if you could raise your hand, Dee Erickson in the corner there, Celeste is here, Leif is here, we've got Colleen, Reverend Joanne, Reverend Debbie, Jeff, and myself. And Dee Ray in the back corner over there. She's, so, Thank you. So please reach out to any of us. In our foundations class that we've been teaching, we've really encouraged the people in the class to reach out to Colleen and I and in prayer. And it's been life-changing for some of these students. I can't tell you enough how reaching out and asking for prayer can change your life. And we offer this to you. This is our gift to you. So please take us up on this gift. We are waiting for you to grab this gift and run with it. Announcements. I had to figure out where I was. We have a couple announcements. The first is there's going to be a new book study, and there's a sheet in the back if you wish to take it, and it's going to be based on a book called The Power of Decision, which is by Raymond Charles Barker. It's going to be taught by Reverend Debbie and Charlie Brown. And it is an 8-week course from 6:30 to 9:30 via Zoom, starting on April 4th. And the cost is $75. You can register at cslminneapolis.org. So if this is something you're interested in, it's a fantastic book. I can't recommend it more. Please sign up. Fancy Ray, who is part of our community here, is having a comedy show. And that is on... I think it's March 29th, Friday, March 29th at 8 p.m. I know Colleen and I are thinking about going and asking other people to come with us. Celeste is going, so he's quite funny. So if you're free on Friday, March 29th, you can join the community there supporting him. It is at Spring Street Tavern, 355 Monroe Street, Northeast Minneapolis. Tickets, $15 in advance and $20 at the door.
We do have a few handouts here in the
Yeah.
back if you want to take a picture of it so that we can keep them on.
Yeah, you can also use this one here too. So, and I think that's it for announcements. Am I missing anything? Oh, the annual meeting we're having April 9th. Is it here in this room? So we're having an annual meeting, April 9th, after service is done.
It's the first Sunday of April.
The first Sunday of April. All right.
Can't be the ninth.
All right, so I got it wrong. What day is it? It's coming. Jeff's looking. April 7th. April 7th. We're having an annual meeting. Please be here. It'd be wonderful to see you. Oh, my goodness. All right. That's all the announcements. I will bless us. I will pray us out. Reverend Joanne will bless us out. These guys will sing us out. Please join us for fellowship after we are done. That usually goes on for a solid 45 minutes after church is over. You miss out, you online people, because it's my favorite part of coming sometimes. So, deep breath. Holy Creator, we thank you for today. We thank you for this moment in time that we as a community gather to celebrate our connection to the One, to celebrate our connection to each other, and to celebrate our connection to this world. We thank you for the gifts that were given today. We thank you for the ability to leave here and go out and enjoy the sunshine of this wonderful Sunday in March with our community members and with our community at large. I release this knowing that this is true, that this is so. As I speak my words, they are real, they are abiding, and they are abundant. And so it is.
And I'll leave you with this blessing. May you be at peace. May you know the beauty of your own true nature. May your heart be open. Know that you're healed. Know that you're blessed. Namaste.
One, two, three, four. Grab your coat and get your hat. Leave your worries on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Can you hear the pitter-pat? And that happy tune is your step. life can be so sweet. To the sunny side of the street, I used to walk in the shade with those blues on parade. Well, I'm not afraid. My rover crossed over. If I ever had a cent, I'd be rich as Rockefeller, with gold dust at my feet. To the sunny side of the street, up on it, up, buddy, da da da, ba buddy, bum, buddy, bum, ba daddy, da da, ba da da, ba ba boy, da bye. I used to walk in the shade with those blues on parade. Well, I'm not afraid. My rover crossed over. If I ever had a cent, I'd be rich as Rockefeller, with gold dust at my feet. To the sunny side of the street, to the sunny, to the sunny side of the street.